Okay, I figured I'd film a little bit on this car. I think I said in the last video I wasn't sure what I'd film, but we got it all apart. It's kind of an interesting state. So this car has been on the channel before. Maybe Clayton will show you, once I'm done rambling for a second, some of the dyno runs and stuff that we've done on this car. It's running a Boss, so it's a Mark 6 GTI. It's running a Boss 500 kit, which I believe is basically like a GT28. It runs a lot of water meth. We'll show you some B-roll and stuff probably while I'm rambling on here about the water meth kit and stuff. It runs a lot of water meth in it. So on 91 octane with water meth on that turbo, it made just over 400 wheel horsepower at pretty low boost. So it's really taking advantage of the octane that's provided from the water meth and the cooling. The problem with these cars, though, as anyone knows that's tried to modify these, is the fueling is a big issue. We've done some fueling changes, but it needs more fuel really to make really any more horsepower. But why it's here now is a while ago, the owner and I had chatted about doing all-wheel drive in this car, and he really thought it wasn't ever going to be a possibility. But if you remember, you know, probably late last year into the fall, I had picked up a Mark 6 Golf R that I ended up parting out. There was a video on that car as well. The body was pretty rough on it, so we took all the all-wheel drive and a bunch of parts out of it, and the all-wheel drive parts from that car are now going into this car. The owner has done some of the work, but it's brought here now to finish it. Let's see if we can crack the 400 horsepower mark with this thing. And the logging, everything is good. Let's go. Oh my God. $3.99. All right, as you guys seen, we did it. 403 wheel horsepower, 395 torque. So now that you've seen some of what the car can do as a front wheel drive car, obviously, it's gonna benefit a lot, especially if he wants to go for more power, but it's gonna benefit even in its current state. 400 wheel horsepower in a front wheel drive car is really the limit to it. A few of his buddies have Mark 7 Golf Rs that are all making around 400, 430 wheel horsepower. So it'll be very good competition once this car is all-wheel drive. So I'm going to do a very high level. We have a full playlist of how to do an all-wheel drive swap on our channel already. But for those that are new to the channel, I'm going to give you a very quick Cole's Notes version of what's needed to create an all-wheel drive GTI. So first things first, you need an all-wheel drive transmission, or you can use an all-wheel drive differential in a front-wheel drive transmission as long as it has the provisions for the all-wheel drive. This one does not, as you can see. There's no holes in this to bolt the bevel box. You require, if you're going to do the way that I've shown in some other videos, you need to have these four bosses to bolt the angle drive to it. So in this case, it's actually a transmission out of a Mark 6 Golf R, and for those who are following along, it was the white Mark 6 Golf R I bought a few months ago and parted out. There's the bevel box or the angle drive for it. So you need to pull your transmission out. You need to put this transmission in. But before doing so, you need to also replace the sway bar, as the sway bar for the all-wheel drive dips down to fit the the drive shaft. So that's step one. Next thing, you need to obviously pull all your exhaust and everything off. You need to weld in brackets for the steady bearing of the drive shaft. You need to take out all your rear end, rear subframe, rear suspension, gas tank, and cut a huge hole in the floor pan to fit the rear end out of an all-wheel drive car. It bolts right up. It just needs clearance for the differential. You need that, and you need an all-wheel drive gas tank. And once you get that done, or once you have those parts, you have to make a pan, which I'll show you some of that. The owner did some of this work already, cut a bunch of this out. We're just trying to clean it all up and make it ready for welding in. This all has to be modified. It's way too big. It's all in another video. But we're going to bead roll a pan, get the pan welded in, and then essentially put in the gas tank, put in the rear end, weld in the brackets. Oh yeah, speaking of brackets, you also, for the fuel tank, you need to put some nutserts in the chassis to hold the gas tank strap for the all-wheel drive gas tank. And you also need to put a bracket, which is kicking around here somewhere, here as well, to hold the other gas tank. So technically there's three not gas tank, other strap. There's three straps on a all-wheel drive gas tank, where there's only two on a front-wheel drive one. And then you need to do some wiring for the sending unit, because the all-wheel drive tank has two sending units in it. So the cluster needs to read right. You need to wire that in, and you need to wire in the Haldex and do some coding in the ECU to make it all happy and work together. So it came in as a front-wheel drive car. You've seen some runs of it on the dyno from the past. By the end of this video, we'll probably show you some B-roll of, you know, maybe doing the pan and stuff like that. Just brief. This is probably just going to be a quick, high-level video to show another all-wheel drive GTI. But by the end of it, hopefully, the wheels are spinning in the rear. And once we cut out a plate to fit the hole that's cut out in the back of the car, we basically do a design on it to take and then bead roll it. As you can see, this is a big bead roller. And this is essentially, if you just put a piece of sheet metal back there, it would rattle and it would flop up and down and all that. The bead roll is just going to take all the flexibility of it and make it more rigid. And the pattern here, this is more like a Mark 7 Golf R, the way that a Mark 7 Golf R rear pan would be, with some lines and stuff like that. So just kind of resembling what an OEM pan would look like. And then this edge will get stepped up. That's where it's going to be all spot welded all along the edge. But I got a bunch more time into bead rolling this still, so I'm going to get to it. So this fitting on the Boss 500 kit hits the bevel box. So we got to do some modifications to it. So my thought is, I think we need about 5 millimeters clearance. So I'm going to cut this down, basically put it in the mill, cut it way down here, re-thread it. We'll get that fitting in closer so that it doesn't hit the bevel box. Basically it's hitting the axle essentially. So we're going to modify this, the fun of aftermarket parts. Too wobbly. Focus. Shorter now. All right, the mounts are in, all seam sealed. We're gonna do a whole bunch of fluid film undercoat and stuff all on the inside. So it looks like factory, and start putting the heat shields and the dry shaft and exhaust and everything on. The rear end's already in. Everything's been done back here. Probably showed you guys this already, but just getting there. All right, interior's ready to go back in, shifter's back in. Lot has to happen just to make sure we don't burn the car down while we're welding in the brackets on the tunnel, but it's another step completed.
Okay, so into the wiring of this. Every car is a little bit different, so we're not going to get into the specifics on all the wiring and where it needs to go. I'm up underneath the dash here, but in general, basically, there's about 8 wires. There's some for the sending unit, and I think about 6 for the all-wheel drive itself, for the Haldex. It, again, is going to be specific to each kind of car, and there is coding that has to happen as well, but we're just going to pin in the wires that we can and tap into the wires that we need to. But this is just another step that needs to happen to make it all-wheel drive. I will also add that this connector is not the only place that wires need to happen on this car. There's a few different modules that we got to tap into, but just wanted to mention that.
Beep.
Beep. Clayton, look, the interior's all back in.
Look at that. Wow.
So
Fast seats.
all the wiring is done. I think maybe Clayton added a little clip in there of me up under the dash. So all the wiring and the coating is all done, and the interior's all back together, so it looks like a normal car again. I don't think I ever showed anything of the back pan, but actually one thing I did forget that we need to mention. We'll just go on the back seat here, Clayton. You thought I'd never ask?
Well, I was hoping you'd never ask.
This piece on a factory GTI underneath this is just metal, stamped metal. So when you're doing all-wheel drive, you just lost your light. You need to cut this piece out for the sending unit. No, you did it. Whatever you did, you didn't do it. You need to cut this piece of metal out for the sending unit on the driver's side. So that's one thing I didn't mention earlier in the video when I was underneath the car. So all the rear pan is done. It's all seam sealed. The color match for the E-coating is really close, not quite factory, but once it gets a little bit of dirt on it and stuff, it'll probably look like it was from the dealership. Clayton, what do you think?
I think it looks pretty good.
Looks pretty good?
Yep.
So
the carpet and stuff covers anyway, but
it's not going to see any of that. It's all sealed up properly. Everything's been spot welded around. I don't think I filmed anything to do with spot welding it in there, but it's all seam sealed. It's all underneath. It's got tons of fluid film and seam sealer and all that stuff. It still needs, he's switching to a Golf R rear bumper, so the rear valance is off it right now. So we're to the point, I think, Clayton, of seeing if it will actually move all 4 wheels.
Sweet. And I apologize right now if I'm sniffing in the background, but my allergies,
the allergies are acting up?
Yeah, so like...
Okay, yeah, don't be snotting in the camera, man. Nobody wants to hear that. So give us a minute. We'll get this thing fired up. Clayton, did you beep?
Beep.
Did you beep?
Beep.
Couple of things for those that didn't see this. Couple of things. This car is been tuned with TuneZilla. It's running, because obviously this is in other videos, which we would have linked above, but for those watching this, it is a Boss 500 kit. It did 410-ish wheel or something. I think there'll be a link to the video in the past. So the big thing with this is 400 wheel is kind of the limit for a front wheel drive car. Now it's all wheel drive. It runs a lot of water meth in order to be able to make that sort of power at relatively low boost to make that sort of power on our 91 octane. So I'm done rambling. Oh, we've done all the service, transmission fluid, Haldex. It's got all the gear that's been put in here has all been serviced. We're to the point. There's no codes on the dash. We're ready to fire it up. Well, I lie. There's 2 codes on the dash. One for a light bulb out and one for airbag because he's got aftermarket seats in it. So, let's see, Clayton.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
Well, in case you're filming in here and there's no lights on the dash. There is lights on the dash.
That's what
but nothing
everybody
to
on
do.
the internet sounds like, too.
It is. That is the internet. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm born ready.
We're doing this live. I'm that confident.
It runs.
It runs. Are you ready?
See the wheels move.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. She got
You're
traction
going?
now. She got
Well, it's got no traction up in the air, but it's gonna have traction. So, let me shut her off so we don't get smoked out. That's it, a front wheel drive GTI converted to all wheel drive. This car is gonna be so different for him in first and second gear, it's not even gonna be funny. Second gear is gonna feel nutty comparatively to what it felt like before, because again, that kind of power on a small turbo, at this power level, it's just a tire fryer in most gears. So to be able to like launch from a light and stuff like that, and also the file that we just updated now has launch control for him, so that's going to be a lot more fun. There was a couple things I wanted to mention. Oh, let me get out of the car, Clayton.
Wrap it up.
One thing I wanted to mention, that's what I was saying in the car, get out and talk about this. Does it make sense, Clayton, to do an all-wheel drive swap
Why
in
wouldn't
a
it?
GTI?
Well,
As I said in previous videos,
yeah.
in a lot of cases it doesn't make sense. It has to be the right car. So, you know, to do an all-wheel drive swap in a Mark IV, in most cases I'm going to tell you, no, it doesn't make sense. It's so much more work, and you can just import an all-wheel drive Jetta, for example, from Europe for less than what it's going to cost you probably to start from scratch and build one, because you need a whole other car.
Yeah, bodywork, welding, all that stuff ain't cheap.
All that stuff, exactly. And in scenarios like this, so we got 3 cars in here right now that are all all-wheel drive swapped.
Yeah, that one. More on that later.
For that car, again, I've mentioned in videos, we didn't get a 2-door Golf R here in Canada. I made one, basically. So that's why I did it. That has all the R trim and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. This one behind us, that car has never seen winter. It's barely seen any rain. It has very low kilometers.
That thing's gone through a bunch of work.
And it's
over
had
the years.
endless changes into it. So in those scenarios, much like this car, he knows the history of it. He knows the service. He knows the shape of it. It doesn't get winter driven. In scenarios like this, when you're invested into the platform, you have a bunch of money in the turbo kit and the wheels, suspension and all that stuff. In cases like that, yes, it makes sense. For the average person, if you're just starting a new project and you haven't invested a bunch of time, you don't know the history, just go buy an all-wheel drive car. But for him to buy a Mark 6R, for example, much like the one that I bought and parted out that gave its guts to this one, that car, for the most part, was pretty clapped out. So you don't know the history of it, you don't know what's wrong with it. He knows everything about this car, same with that one. So it makes sense in those cases. Yeah, that one, yeah, I mean, that one, there's nothing left of that being a GTI anymore, like literally. Everything is gone. The engine, I deleted
the VIN,
it.
that's it. The VIN tells you.
The VIN tells you it's a GTI. So anyways, enough of that. Clayton, do you have anything to add as we get into track season?
Man, I'm excited. Drag racing's around the corner. We've already started going to AMP a little bit. Yeah, there's just a lot of cool stuff
to come.
Coming up.
A lot of stuff to come. So if you guys have any questions or comment about this video or about this car or any of the other ones on our channel, I say that all the time, but I'm stumbling over it. It's been 2 weeks since we posted a video, so ask in the comments below. I do my best to answer. And thank you everybody for the support. We'll see you in the next video.